How's it going, everybody? It is Sam with BFPGear.com, and today's video is going to be a really fun one. With the Lone Star Major only 2 days away, I know we're all super excited for the NXL to kick off in Texas, and I'm super excited for it because that Vegas layout was really crazy, and now we have something that's a little bit more traditional. So I'm going to be looking at all of the prelim matches that are happening on Friday and Saturday, and I'm just going to kind of spitball who I think is going to win those. I'm going to have a dark horse pick, and then who I think is going to take the tournament. So I'm going to grab my phone, pull up the schedule, and then we're just going to talk about it a little bit. And if you want to follow along with that, let's talk about it in the comment section down below. And if you like stuff like this, hey, hit the like button, subscribe, ring that bell for the notification, and you'll see us when we make another video. All right, got my phone, got all the matches pulled up here. Just gonna read off the names of who's playing against who and then who I'm gonna pick to win. So we're starting with the Friday matches here. I got Infamous versus Damage. I think Damage is gonna win that one. Then there's Houston Heat versus Uprising, as well as Uprising does against like those top tier teams. I think Heat's gonna win. The next set's gonna be Notorious versus Diesel and Revo versus Blast Camp. I would love to see Notorious win, but I think Diesel's gonna win that one. And then the Revo versus Blast Camp, I think Revo's gonna win, 100% there. The next set, we've got Red Legion versus Damage and Aftermath versus Uprising. I think Aftermath is going to beat Uprising. I don't think it's going to be like a huge shutout victory, but I think they're going to beat them. And then Red Legion versus Damage, it's a tough one to call. I mean, Damage is really good, but Red Legion also just did super good. So I'm going to say Red Legion. The next set is Infamous versus Diesel and Heat versus Blast Camp. I think Heat's going to beat Blast Camp, and I think Diesel is going to do really good against Infamous. I wouldn't be surprised to see that one go to overtime. As for who's going to win the Diesel versus Infamous match, man, it's a coin toss. I will just pick Infamous. So if you disagree with me, just let me know in the comments down below. The next set is Red Legion versus Notorious and Aftermath versus Revo. I'm going to say Aftermath beats Revo, maybe only by one. And then I think Red Legion will have the upper hand over Notorious, just having that veteran squad. I think they're going to squeak out the win, especially with Notorious they did pretty good in Vegas, but Legion did get that third place finish. Let's see, the next set is X Factor versus the Iron Men and Impact versus Aftershock. I got to give it to that home side there. X Factor is going to beat the Iron Men and Impact is going to beat Aftershock. The next set is PB Fit versus New York Extreme and the Brooklyn Bears versus the ML Kings. I think New York Extreme is going to come out on top against PB Fit. I'm just going to put that out there. And then for Brooklyn Bears versus ML Kings, I feel like that's kind of a coin toss. I would like to give the Bears the win. I think they're going to come out on top on that match. Then let's see. Next set is Dynasty versus Iron Men and Hurricanes versus Aftershock. Again, I got to give it to that home side. Dynasty is going to beat the Iron Men, and Hurricanes are going to beat Aftershock. I mean, those are you're talking the number 1 and 2 teams in the bracket, or sorry, in the league right now, playing against the Iron Men and Aftershock. Like, Iron Man and Aftershock are good squads, but I think Dynasty and Hurricanes are going to win those matches. And then second to last set for Friday, we got X Factor versus New York Extreme and Impact versus ML Kings. Impact is going to beat the Kings. I think that's kind of a given. The Kings are good, but Impact is just, I mean, they just got Mikey, and dude, Mikey is so good. Like, he's such a great player. Then X Factor versus New York Extreme, that's a tough one to call. X Factor is really good. They've kept the core of their team intact for a while, but New York Extreme is also super good and have just improved over the years. I wouldn't be surprised to see that one go to overtime, and then I would say X Factor wins, but they would win overtime. And then the last set of Friday, we've got Dynasty versus PB Fit and the Hurricanes versus the Bears. Again, you've got the number 1 and 2 teams on the home side there. I think they're going to win. I think Dynasty's winning over PB Fit, and I think Hurricanes are winning over the Brooklyn Bears. So now we move on to Saturday's prelim matches, prelim matches. And we're going to have, let me redo that real quick. So now we move on to Saturday's preliminary matches. And we've got, for the first set, it is Damage versus Diesel and Uprising versus Blast Camp. I think the Uprising Blast Camp game is going to be really close, but I'm going to give the advantage to Uprising. And then Damage versus Diesel, I'm going to say Damage wins that one. The next set is Infamous versus Notorious and Heat versus Revo. Ooh, man. Infamous versus Notorious is kind of a tough one to call. Same thing with Heat and Revo, because Revo does really good against a lot of teams, and Heat's also just a top tier team with a huge, like, deep veteran squad. I'm gonna say Heat wins, barely, and then I'm gonna say Notorious wins barely. So we'll keep those ones nice and close. I think that's gonna be an exciting set to watch. The next set is Red Legion versus Diesel and Aftermath versus Blast Camp. I think Red Legion is going to beat Diesel, and then I think Aftermath is going to beat Blast Camp. Aftermath is just one of those teams. I would even argue that they're a dark horse pick for me. They're so close. They're so close to like a podium finish. Like they can taste it, you know, like they're that good. Next set is Notorious versus Damage, and then we've got Revo versus Uprising. I think Revo's going to beat Uprising, and I think Damage is going to beat Austin Notorious. The next set is Red Legion versus Infamous and Aftermath versus Heat. I think Red Legion's going to win against Infamous there, probably not by much, but I think they're going to win that one. And then the Aftermath Heat game. Aftermath, I feel, is always matched up really well against Houston Heat, so I'm going to give it to ASG Aftermath for sure. The next set is the Ironmen versus New York Extreme, and then Aftershock versus ML Kings. I think Aftershock is going to put the hurt on the ML Kings, and I think New York Extreme is going to beat the Ironmen, but not by a lot. Let's see, the next set is X Factor versus PB Fit, and then we've got Impact versus the Bears. I think X Factor is going to have the advantage over PB Fit, even though those are two of like the Texas Titans, whatever you want to call them. PB Fit plays really, really good, but I think X Factor has the advantage there. And then Impact is going to put the hurt on the Bears for sure. Let's see, the next set is Dynasty versus New York Extreme, and Hurricanes versus the Kings. You got the number 1 and 2 teams on that home side. I think they're going to win their matches. Dynasty is definitely winning against New York Extreme, and the Hurricanes just play so incredibly good. So I think they're gonna win that whole set there. Next up, we got PB Fit versus the Ironmen and the Brooklyn Bears versus Aftershock. I think PB Fit's going to beat the Ironmen, but the Ironmen are going to put up a really good fight. Like, I can't see PB Fit winning by more than 2. And then the Bears versus Aftershock, I think Aftershock is going to take that one. And then for the last set before it goes into the Sunday Ball, we've got Dynasty versus X Factor and Hurricanes versus Impact. That's like the top 4 teams in like the world. I mean, that is a hell of a way to end prelims. It's a really tough call. I feel like any of these teams are safe bets. I think Dynasty is going to win against X Factor, but it's going to be an overtime thing. And then Hurricanes are going to be Impact by 1 with no overtime. That's a called shot. Hold me to it. And that's who I've got for prelims. Now, the next thing I want to talk about is going to be who's going to win and who's my dark horse pick. So that's who I have for winning their respective preliminary matches. The last 2 things to discuss briefly is going to be who do I have to win the whole tournament and who do I think is a dark horse pick that could win the tournament or have a really deep run. To start off with who's going to win the tournament, I'm 100% going with the boys in blue, San Diego Dynasty. I mean, those guys have just been absolutely dominant, and this layout has some pretty nasty lanes for off-the-break shooting. I sincerely think that within the first 15 to 30 seconds of each match being played, they're going to have this super unfair advantage of shooting somebody off the break, and they're either going to lock it up against you or just push down the field and get a quick win. As for a dark horse pick, I'm going to be picking ASG Aftermath. I think Aftermath has just been playing extremely well. They have been doing such a killer job attacking fields and layouts, and they have been contending against some of the top teams in the league, like Houston Heat. They have repeatedly matched up against Heat and have either lost to them barely or have been knocking them out of events. or beating them in prelims. And it's been pretty crazy to watch. And I also feel like this Dorito side is like just a perfect layout for them to push that Dorito side. Like I would expect any one of those guys, if they go unchecked in that Dorito, it's just, you're gonna watch bodies drop like super, super fast. But that's who I've got for winning the whole tournament, and that's who I've got for the dark horse picks, and that's who I've got for winning their preliminary matches. So we're curious to see what's gonna happen. The Texas event is gonna be super cool, even though we have this really cool like generic layout. It is such a refreshing look from that crazy one that we had in Vegas, but it's gonna be super awesome and super exciting. If you guys do like content like this, you know, we're going to be doing more of this stuff, and it's going to be really awesome because we are sports fans. We are fans of paintball. We absolutely love the sport. We're super passionate about it. I mean, we are paintball, 100%. So if you like this kind of content, please don't forget, hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, ring that bell, get notified when we make another upload. And hopefully we see you at the Texas event.